Coming up on Plane Crazy Down Under, AusFly 2025 was a success despite the baking heat, and Grant was there to help with commentary and record some content. Matilda Mendham talks about learning to fly, helping the Freedom Formation on the ground, and now flying in the display.
Yep, so I started with Freedom Formation just as an onlooker in 2023. I attended 2 of their practice days and then was asked by Jeremy Miller to come and help them up at the Pacific Air Show in the Gold Coast in 2023, so I became their Smokey.
Paul McVitty from Flyleds tells us about the development of his LED lights that can be found in many kit-built aircraft around the world.
The tower controller spotted him out the window and couldn't see him on the radar, and he actually had to zoom out his radar control to find him. And when he overflew, he took note of his registration number, and then a couple of days later the tower controller found him on Van's Air Force and told him, "You and your plane, I saw you 42 miles away on a bright sunny day."
Wow.
And Flight Lieutenant Larissa Stevens talks about learning to fly, joining the Air Force, and her career to date.
I always thought RAAF pilots were really smart. I thought they were astronauts. They were big brain, kind of like Neil Armstrong style of intelligence. And then I met one. And so then I applied to the Air Force.
There are many stories in this episode from AusFly 2025, so enjoy hearing from old friends and new as we get plane crazy.
Well, hi everyone, welcome back to Plane Crazy Down Under, the occasional podcast where we talk about aviation. Grant and I are standing on a side street here in Port Melbourne because we've just been recording some really cool interviews, mate, and that'll be coming up in a later episode. But yeah, we just thought it was time to record some quick rappers as this cement truck goes by, and just to make it real. And yeah, what do you reckon, mate? You've been busy, and it's not that we haven't been making content. It's just that well, life is busy, and our business is really busy, and that's just the way it is. So we apologise for that. But Grant, we've been to Avalon, of course, and you've also been doing some air shows.
Yeah, I got to be able to go to AusFly up at Wentworth, just north of Mildura, in rural New South Wales, Victoria, kind of on the border. You weren't able to make it because of a scheduling thing, and you lucked out because you missed 42-degree days.
Oh yeah, I don't know that I missed it that much. Although as I record this, Grant, I'm just about to head off on an Air New Zealand jet actually, and head across to Texas. So I'm sure we'll have a few of those days there. But standing here today in Melbourne, it's about -6 standing out here in this wind. So maybe that won't be such a bad thing.
Well, yeah, it's with me doing ADM podcasts and running around and going to Germany with for like at the invitation of a defence supplier, a shipbuilding company.
Yeah, I got to talk to that shipbuilding company. Where was my invite?
They knew you were going to the US.
I like boats. I used to have a sailboat.
Yeah, but dude, would you actually get into the US if they saw that you'd been to Germany?
Oh, I don't know. They might not. Who knows? It's a 50-50 proposition from what I hear these days.
I know, right? But yeah, so we've both been really busy. Your Claire signal's going very well.
Yeah, pretty happy
great.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've just, as Steve said, we're not in the studio, thus the ambience, and there was a police helicopter stooging around, so we tried to get you some background noise.
That's how you would have known we were standing in a street in Melbourne.
Yeah, the police helicopter. So we tried to get you some aviation background, but look, don't worry, guys. There's
some seagulls.
Absolutely, yeah, seagulls.
That's
yeah,
aviation.
Rats with wings. But look, this episode's going to be the content from AusFly. And we'll package that up, massage it, and put something out for you. And yeah, we might even be back in the not too distant future with stuff from Avalon. That was only back in March, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's only 3 months ago.
Yeah, technically 4 because we're in July.
Anyway, let's hear about all that stuff you did up there in the blissful hot weather in Mildura or Wentworth or wherever it was.
It was 42 to 44 degrees both days of the event, and yeah, that was like standing in an oven. Oh yeah. That's real temperature, guys. None of this Fahrenheit shit.
I didn't know what that was in gallons, but anyway.
Yeah, how many furlongs to the centigrade? Yeah. Anyhow, let's
anyway, before you lose half of our listening audience, let's go to that content.
Matilda Mendham, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here.
Now, I believe you're the newest inductee into the Freedom Formation.
Yes, I'm one of the 2 new inductees into Freedom Formation and the newest lady on the team.
So we now have 2 lady pilots, and so that's Ange 2 and yourself, and of course Ange 1 on commentary?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, so there's now 3 of us.
And how large is the formation?
Oh, gosh.
Is it about 19?
There's 16, and we're going to have another team starting at the end of the year, so there'll be many more.
The sky shall truly be darkened by RVs.
Absolutely. We're going to make a hostile takeover.
We take over your air show.
Absolutely.
Matilda, how'd you get into aviation?
I got into aviation very young. My parents and my grandparents always tell the story of me going to my very first air show when I was 3 years old, and my grandparents my grandfather particular telling me that this is what you'll be doing, Matt. I think, I can't remember, I was very young, as I said, 3 years old, but a little aerobatic plane doing flips up above and barrel rolls and everything, looking like having lots of fun, and I was so excited as a 3-year-old. Oh, we bought you a joyride, everything. Little Cessna 172 went up for a circuit, came back down, and I stormed out of that aeroplane like the biggest paddy chuck I've ever thrown, because I didn't get to go up and do aerobatics. And here I am now being able to do, how many years later, 20-something years later, being able to go up and actually be in an air show. Not quite doing aerobatics just yet, but I'll do that in my own time.
And so your own time, how did you time? When did you start your formal training and all that?
I started formal training around 15. So I'm 22 on Sunday, so a couple years ago. Woohoo for me. I got RPL on age and then straight up to PPL. I think I was 16. I got it before before I could legally drive a car by myself. So that says what my priorities were. And yep, I had a couple of years just sitting on PPL as I went through high school. Finished high school, got a couple of scholarships from AWPA, and did my aerobatics endorsement when I was doing the gap year with the Royal Australian Air Force up in Archerfield. That's how I met Jeremy Miller and started off with the team, and it just worked its way from there. So here I am.
And gap year from the Air Force. So
Yes.
Are you in the Air Force now?
No, I'm not. I did my year with the Defence Force and left to go and see whether uni was for me, and clearly it's not, as I now have a job and I'm still paying for my flying. So the money doesn't stay in the bank very long.
No, it's Teflon coated for a reason.
Pretty much, exactly.
What kind of work are you doing?
I'm actually a registered vet nurse. Not quite a vet, which otherwise I would have been in uni for 6 years. So I was trying to keep it short and sharp and get out into the aviation industry a little bit more. So yeah.
So now you've got your full PPL, you've got your aerobatics ticket. What else?
My formation endorsement, of course, and yes, working on my CPL. So on second exam out of 7. So getting there slowly. I don't think anyone does.
Plans for multi, plans for instrument?
Yes.
Instructor?
Instructor will probably be next year, but that's just wherever it'll take me, I suppose. It's also money depending. It always is. But yeah, I'll see how I go at the end of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And career path, are you thinking something in aviation is where you're wanting to go?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't really want to stay as a vet nurse for too long. I'd love to try and combine the two, make up a flying veterinary service. Whether that will work, I'm not sure, but either way, I'd love to make my main career in aviation.
It's not uncommon for people building hours to go out into the bush and so on, so mustering and so on.
Yeah.
Do you think your vet nurse background would help there?
I would think so. Yeah, I wouldn't probably go mustering, as say. I've had enough of that in my 22 years of life, but I definitely go out west just to see what I can do to help out there.
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay. Coming back to Freedom Formation.
Yes.
So when did you say you started in that, and how long has it taken in terms of working you up in various positions and roles and so on?
Yep, so I started with Freedom Formation just as an onlooker in 2023. I attended 2 of their practice days, and then was asked by Jeremy Miller, the lead coach, to come and help them up at the Pacific Air Show in the Gold Coast in 2023. So I became their Smokey.
So Smokey, I like that.
Yeah, Smokey, that works. And yes, so then I was crew chief, they called me, for 2024, and started my formation endorsement in, I think, December or November of this year. I should say last year, 2024.
I was about to say, we're looking forward.
And then, yes, finally found myself an aeroplane to continue with, and we went from there.
So do you own it, or are you?
I'm borrowing at the moment.
Right.
Yes.
Someone's very politely letting you.
Very, very politely, yes, indeed.
and so it's not your aircraft. So whose is it? Who's the owner?
Joe Norris. Thank you so much for everything. I wouldn't have been flying without you. I can't flap my arms that hard to fly with the team, so I kind of needed an aeroplane. Thank you very much.
So you've only only just got your formation endorsement, you've just got your borrowed aircraft. So how many training flights, so ballpark, have you done?
A lot. I've done a fair few training flights since I got my endorsement in December. So yes.
And whereabouts are you? Second echelon row? Are you what have they got you doing?
Yep. So I'm in position number 2, which is echelon right off the lead aircraft. Yep.
Ooh.
Yes.
Stick like glue to leader.
Absolutely. Fly good, don't suck.
That's a moral for life, actually.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like you're having a lot of fun.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in practice. Is there anything else you'd like to say about Freedom Formation, SAAA, things like that?
Yep, to SAAA, thank you very much. I'm sure Freedom Formation couldn't have done it without you. To all the Freedom sponsors and the people that have helped me out personally on the way, thank you very much. Your help is very well appreciated.
Well, Matilda Mendham, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, and here is, of course, AusFly 2025 at the wonderful aerodrome of Wentworth, where we've just discussed the weather, so we don't have to get on with the baking just yet. But, Josh, you guys have flown up in Echo Foxtrot Bravo, the wonderful, what do we call it, the company aircraft?
Yeah, it's a beautiful Cirrus G2 that we've been flying around for the last few years now. It's an amazing aircraft to fly.
Yeah. Cool. So a couple of you have come up, and I hear there's going to be more tomorrow on Saturday, the more public day and so on. And what have you got? What's new? What are you bringing with you and engaging?
So some of the new features we'll be showing off is our updated traffic system, showing some slight changes in that we've made that makes the traffic system a bit more user-friendly to view whilst flying. And on top of that, we potentially may be demoing a new plan sheet that we have coming out in a few weeks.
So attending an event like this and sponsoring it as well, what are the tangible kind of benefits for the company, for the product? Are you able to talk to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our client base is GA and RAA's flying people. Everyday Joe blogs flying around in their Jabiroos, in their Cessnas, and a few Cirruses as well, like myself. But it gives us the opportunity to reach out and actually answer questions in person and to help them with learning the app. It keeps growing every day, and there's just so many new features that we keep adding to the app. It helps us reach out with our customers and help them learn these new features we keep adding.
And it does seem like we've managed to get a gap in between the hordes of people who are hassling you, even this early on the first day. So you seem to get a lot of people coming through. Is this where you get a lot of your ideas for new features from?
Absolutely. It's at these events where we have people come up and they have brilliant ideas. Our whole app's built off of ideas that customers have and suggestions that people give us, and it's helped us build the app and make it better to use and much more user-friendly to everyone using it.
So as was announced about a year ago now, OzRunways, now a Boeing company. So you're doing a lot of work, I believe, with JEP and talking to each other about how you do things. Is that correct?
That's correct. We work very closely with our partners in ForeFlight. We do a lot of discussions back and forth, and we're slowly integrating apps and data together to build both apps in the Australian and New Zealand region. And Jefferson's been helping us as well, a little bit as well. So
like the classic, I grew up in America, I learned to fly with ForeFlight. I don't want to have to use another tool, but I get all the benefit as if I was using that tool down in that country, and vice versa for a Kiwi or an Aussie flying in the US. Is that it?
So the whole idea is that both apps start working very similarly and helps put the two together.
Yeah, I'm used to working this way, and now I've got the benefit. Yeah,
exactly.
That kind of thing. Okay. What's most surprised you when you're doing these kind of sessions with actual users? Has there been anything like, oh my God, you're using it that way? Any moments like that?
We see that with flight planning, for example. There's so many ways that you can do it in app that we ourselves even learn that, we set it up that you can do it that way, but we didn't realize people were doing it that way. And helping tweak the way that we can do things in app to help them make it easier as well. It's just one of those challenges that we face, but it's really enjoyable.
Yeah,
reaching those challenges.
Yeah, I think a lot more software developers need to actually see people using their tool to realize, oh, you click it that way.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that we've been Baz and the team has been pushing. Our developers ourselves, we have a lot of our developers who joined us have gone on and done pilot training themselves. Some of our pilots or developers coming in the next couple of days, Alex and Brennan, they themselves have actually gone and done their RAL certificates. Alex has just done his RPL and training up to do his PPL now. So it's been one of those amazing benefits that they've found, is that coming from that development background and actually seeing that how aviation is so unique in some of the ways that we do things. It's been such an amazing way that we've integrated those together, that we are made by pilots for pilots.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of fun for the developers to realize, oh, that's why you have to do that.
Exactly. And I myself came from an aviation background before joining the OzRunways team, and it works the same way, and vice versa. It's like, oh, that's why you do it that way. That's why we do it that way. And it's amazing seeing how so many things are similar in the layering that it's there.
Yeah. And do you, does the company help people who want to, like, hypothetical, I'm a developer, I've been with you for a little bit of time doing stuff, I've gone flying with you, but I'm now interested in actually learning how to fly. Does the company have some way of helping out with that?
Yeah, so the OzRunways actually sponsors our developers and helps them get help them with their flying goals. Even myself, we get sponsored and get given money to be like, hey, go out, we want you to have fun and enjoy aviation, and we want you to help develop your own skills as well.
Because that'll help the company, because now you're another pilot pushing it further.
Absolutely. Synergy, it just works both ways.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap it up by looking at what are some of the new features that have come out.
So in the last few months, some of the new features we have are our Glide Assistant tool, which shows a real-time glide range ring around your aircraft in the air. Oh, wow. And it takes into account terrain and wind data to show real time where you'd be expecting to land on the ground whilst flying.
Yeah, if it's outside the ring, don't bother trying to glide.
Pretty much. It's just a situational awareness tool for in the air. If things hit the fan, they can help you find where the best place to potentially land your aircraft is.
Yeah, that's a big safety benefit.
Absolutely. Another feature that we've recently released is our APAC Premium subscription, which takes increased our Papua New Guinean data and has added things like terrain and approach data in there, and has made that much more helpful for our pilots who are flying up in far north Queensland and up north who are going across the Torres Strait into Papua New Guinea.
Oh, very cool. It's a nice couple of good features there. So another good reason to get an APAC professional subscription if you're flying up there, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, Josh from OzRunways, thanks very much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Eddie Sieve, manager of the Freedom Formation, and also one of the pilots in that gaggle of RVs. Eddie, did you fly in the Gold Coast last year?
Yes, I did. So I was number 3 in the acro element. So we had a 5-ship acro last year, and I was echelon left for acro.
Cool. And so yesterday and today here, you're flying position 5, yes?
Yes. So I was number 5. We launched up into the Balbo, and the initial idea was that the Balbo would break into different configurations, but given the temperature and the thermals and stuff, we decided to just simplify the routine. And then once Balbo finished, Glenn, Braden and I broke out of the Balbo to do an acro display.
Yep. And it was a good acro display. It was a lot of fun and kept people entertained on the ground, that's for sure.
Oh, good. We enjoyed it too. It's always one of those personal things of trying to do a good job and make sure that you come down and you're happy with what you've done.
Very nice. So, Eddie, what got you into flying?
I've always been fascinated by aeroplanes. Used to watch the air shows at the old Schofield's Aerodrome, and that had me hooked as a kid. My parents weren't well off, so I never sort of thought about the idea of aviation at all from that perspective. That just got put on the back burner. Went into doing electrical engineering, and then was working over in Malaysia for a few years. We came back and went to a show called Big Boys Toys at Darling Harbour. And we were just wandering, my wife and I wandering around, my wife Anne-Marie, and we got pulled into this display. There was a guy, I'd never seen it before, there was a guy there with a hang glider with a pod underneath it. And so we started talking to them and, found out that it was called a microlight, or a powered trike, if you like. And they were offering introductory flights for $50.
Sure.
So we thought, how wrong can we go for $50? That first flight got both of us hooked. And so I actually joined the Australian Ultralight Federation. Yep. We learned to fly trikes. And then once the enthusiasm wore off, for a better thing, because you're only doing 45 knots, it's a bit hard to go anywhere. I said to Anne-Marie, would you mind if I built an aeroplane? And she said, no, go for it. So I got in touch with Howard Hughes up in Ballina and built one of his little biplanes. He told me it was a 2-seat, but it wasn't. It was just a single seat. And I flew that for a couple of years, and Anne-Marie eventually said, look, I've had enough of this. I want to be able to go places with you. So think about something else that we could do a little bit of touring in. So ended up building a Zenith 601, and we spent 4 or 5 years just touring around Australia at a leisurely 100 knots rather than 45. The hankering for doing something different was always there in the back of my mind. And I was at an airstrip just north of Warnervale, which doesn't exist anymore. It's become a housing development. And this little tandem aeroplane flew in. And it pulled up in front of us. It was the most gorgeous thing I'd ever seen. Started speaking to the guy, and I said, oh, what is this? And he said, oh, it's an RV4. So I hopped on the van's website and thought, well, tandem's really cool. And Anne-Marie said, if you build a tandem aeroplane, I'm going to kill you because I don't want to look at the back of your head. So I ended up settling on the 7, ordered that, and I got really lucky. With the Zenith, I think the dollar was around where it is now when I built the Zenith, and it was just heartbreaking every time you had to buy something. With the RV, we were just above parity, I took advantage of that, just bought everything in one go. Yeah. So RV took me 4.5 years to build. It was a slow build, and it's now been flying for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations. And so you've obviously done your aerobatics and then your formation aerobatics tickets?
Yes, I have. I did my aerobatics with the guys up at Warnervale, and that was in a Citabria. So I did tailwheel, spinning, aerobatics in the Citabria. And then when I test flew the RV, I thought, I can do the aerobatic manoeuvres in this. Not. I just didn't realise how much faster it was going to be. And so I got myself into a little bit of trouble, and I thought, no, I need to go and get some proper aerobatic transition training. Yeah. And so I found Pete Townsend at Australian Aerobatic Academy, and he did my RV aerobatic conversion, which was absolutely fabulous. And from Pete's perspective, he was all excited because he'd never flown an RV before, right? And so, of course, once I did that, I told all my mates about the fact that Pete's a really good aerobatic instructor, and then they all went to...
So once the word gets around...
It does, yeah. And now you can't actually make a booking with him because he's so busy.
Yeah, exactly. I've seen that. I'm not the only person who told me that. But so when did you join the team?
Well, I joined with Mark Newton, Glenn Bridgeland, and Malcolm.
When you were the Stooges, perchance?
Stooges, yes. So, and that's where we got to meet Jeremy Miller. And Jeremy actually did our formation instruction, and with the assistance of Pete Townsend. So Jeremy was, the head instructor, and Pete was basically keeping us safe through most of the manoeuvres. And that was... it's coming close on to 8 years ago now.
I do remember doing commentary for the Four Stooges at a couple of events.
Yeah. Look, we started flying formation, and then we thought, okay, we need to actually push ourselves a little bit. What else can we do? So we got Jeremy back down to do advanced formation with us, and as part of that, he said, why don't you guys just reach out to, he gave us some names, and see whether you can just participate in some air shows and get a little bit of experience. And so we did that. And I can't remember where it might have been Narromine, the first air display we did. And we were all in awe of the fact that we were sitting in the same tent having a briefing with Matt Hall.
yeah. And now look at, like, in the pilot briefing at Pacific Air Show last year, a swarm of freedom formation people turning up and all chanting, "Sir, yes, sir," etc. "Yes, boss."
Yes. Oh, look, we're half of the briefing at Pacific Air Show, and it's really fun to play games with them. The Americans love it.
Oh, they went off.
And Matt Jolly, you were there this year, weren't you? You know, when we said, "Morning, boss," and Matt Jolly said, "Let me just stop everyone here for a second. Who doesn't want to see the RVs fly today?"
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
Yeah. That was a really good atmosphere in the pilot briefing. And so you've been the manager of the team the whole time?
No. Well, taking a step back, so, you know, as the Stooges, we inspired a lot of our friends to also think about doing formation. And so almost everyone that we know that has an RV has now gone and done a formation endorsement. And in the lead up to the Pacific Air Show, so they were running ads on TV about 3.5 years ago. And I was sitting there watching the news at 7 o'clock in the morning, saw an ad come on for Pacific Air Show and thought, holy shit, you know, we need to actually be part of this. And I was just thinking about the Stooges at that stage. So I rang Jeremy Miller and said, have you seen this thing, you know, being advertised on the Gold Coast? And he said, you know what, I have, and I've been invited to a meeting this morning at 10 o'clock. And I said, well, how about in that meeting you propose that, is there a possibility for the four of us to participate as the Stooges?
Yeah.
And he said, look, I've got a better idea. How about if we put a big formation team together and sell that idea, which is what he did. And so we did the first display at Pacific Air Show was 13 aeroplanes. And I think that the CEO, I can't remember his name.
Kev.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin Elliott.
Yeah, Kevin Elliott.
He had his doubts that, you know, an RV formation would you know, excite the crowd enough, but because of the sheer number of aeroplanes, the amount of smoke, and okay, we're not fast, but we make a lot of noise and there's just aeroplanes everywhere.
You don't know where to look.
Yeah. So he basically stuck his neck out and gave us a go the first year, and now they're more than happy to keep inviting us back each year. And so, you know, the idea for the air show has just been growing each year.
So as team manager, what do you do?
I'm chasing sponsorship. How much money do you have, and would you like to give us some?
Here's 50 cents.
Yeah, I'm chasing sponsorship, and one of the other guys in the team has also pitched in, and also Angela Garvey, our first female formation pilot, has also started, you know, trying to help out in capturing sponsors, because just the sheer size of the team. If we go away for a 4-day training camp, right, expecting everyone to pay for all of the fuel, all of the training, all of the accommodation, the smoke oil, the transport. So we thought the only way we can make this feasible and break even is if we get some sponsors on board. So I've been chasing sponsorship. I look after trying to organise all the accommodation bookings, the bus bookings, along with Jeremy organising smoke oil to be delivered to wherever the training camps are. So just all the logistics.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what was great about being here, aside from the fact that most of you have built your own aircraft? I know Mark's not here, and I'd give him a bit of a stir because he didn't build his aircraft, but you know, you've all built your own aircraft. You're all members of the SAAA, and I was just hearing from the SAAA that a number of the younger folks, you know, compared to us 50 plus, are now joining the board.
Yes. Well, actually, the thrill of being here is hoping that we can inspire more young people to look at aviation as something that is possible for them. It's not. Everyone seems to think it's beyond your grasp because it's so expensive, and there's this whole idea of the expense involved. But if you look at someone that owns a 40-foot cruiser, that boat's costing them a hell of a lot more than my airplane's costing me. So, but no one says anything about the 40-foot cruiser.
No. Or the serious golfer who has the full set of clubs and plays at some very ritzy golf clubs and courses.
Exactly. But our main thrust is to try and just get more young people involved and also more females involved. And so Angela, for the second year at Pacific Airshow, or last year at Pacific Airshow, was our first female pilot that joined the team.
Yeah, and we actually interviewed her at the aerodrome that you were staging from during that event.
Okay, yeah. Very cool. And we had two other young ladies who were just crewing for us and just volunteering their time for nothing. And we just made sure that we paid for their accommodation and meals in return. But they just gave up their time for the last 2 years willingly. And so Matilda, who was refuelling and re-smoking the aeroplanes, she's now gotten hold of Angela's old RB, and she's joined the team this year for the first time. So the big thrill, I think, for me personally, was the fact that Matilda joined in. Lorenzo, who is an instructor, he's only in his 20s as well. He's joined the team. Yeah. This was their first air show ever. And so I think the thrill for myself and the other older members was just seeing how happy they were when we completed the display and the fact that, they'd gotten the first one under their belt.
Yep. Yeah, it's like that rookie year. They've got the first one, so they've been blooded, you might say, as a hunting metaphor. But it's great to see. We had a chat with Matilda yesterday, so that'll be in this collection. Yeah, and I believe you've got another young lady who's in the wings. I think she's the partner of one of the other pilots.
Yes. So Kiana was also coming along. So Kiana was doing Unicom for us at our training camps and also helping out with various jobs. And she also came along with Jeremy each year. So this will be her third year as, basically just a team member. Yeah. But she's now gone and done her formation course. Her partner has an RV8, so she has access to an aeroplane to practice. And so hopefully next year we can add Kiana into the team. And so we'll have, 3 girls on the team, which would be, absolutely fabulous.
Plus you've got Ange on commentary, so you've got A1, A2, and Matilda and future Kiana. In fact, I was joking with Angela. I was like, so when are you going to join the folks up there and fly up there?
Well, I think Angela's gone and done her aerobatics endorsement in her air tourer.
Yep.
So, who knows whether she might actually, at some point, be a breakout to do an aerobatic display.
I was joking with her that if she does wind up that, I'm going to have to come in and do commentary for you, and it's going to be like, the ladies are too busy flying, so we had to delegate to the mere male to talk.
Well, I think that'd be absolutely brilliant.
It does make for fun.
But look, I think what we've managed to achieve in 3 years and the amount of traction that we've gained in terms of people wanting to join the team is bloody fabulous. We've now got, I think there's another 9 people who have put their hand up to join the team, and so what we're planning on doing with them is starting them off doing sky texting. So all the airplanes are going to be set up with control boxes that talk to each other. And so we'll be able to do a dot matrix, message at 10,000 feet.
Formation, away you go.
Yeah. So the Pacific Air Show is excited about that.
Yeah.
And in the lead up, I think they want to use those guys to, just, put up messages about the Pacific Air Show being on, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and whatever the dates are in August.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the big question some of us are asking is there still a beach to do a display at?
Well, what's his name? Mayor Tom?
Yeah, Mayor Tom.
Yeah. He's been on the media promising that they're going to dredge the sand that's been washed back beyond the surf line and put it back. So, good for him. He was saying it's going to be ready to go in Easter.
Anything is possible. We're looking forward to it. Eddie, this has been a great chat about your background, your flying, and the team. And can you run us through who your current sponsors are?
Absolutely. So currently we're being sponsored by Skyfuel, Bremont Watches, UPRT, which is Jeremy and his business, Mach 5, who do all of our stickers for us, the SAAA, of course. We wouldn't be here without the SAAA. Avplan EFB, they're helping us to find our way. Flyleds, so Paul McVitty from Flyleds has helped us out, and also Diane from Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead, they do great. They do great covers.
Look, they're our current list of sponsors, but of course with the team growing, we're always looking for more sponsorship. So if there are any of your listeners out there who might want to help a up-and-coming display team, please reach out.
Contact us at Plane Crazy Down Under, so that's contact@planecrazydownunder.com, and we'll make sure to get it to Eddie if you don't already know him, or even via the SAAA, of course. And always looking for people to help fill the sky with Formation RVs.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate your time. Paul McVitty, welcome to the show.
Hello, Grant. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. And you're with Flyled. And Flyled are some really amazing, incredibly bright lights that as I'm walking across to come and have this interview, it's like I was on a very slowed down dance floor.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you very much. My company is Flyleds. I started it 10 years ago, just about to the date. I got started in this business by I helped a friend building his RV10. So I had all the fun without the expense, which was a great experience. I learnt all the processes and procedures to building a plane. It was all new to me. My background is in electronics and has been ever since I was a kid, and so I offered to build position and strobe lights for Andrew's RV10 and making them as a circuit board that fit the cutout of the wings, the Van's RV wings. So made a really bright set of lights a couple of generations before that with for him, his plane, and he loved them, and he encouraged me to set up a business. I thought he was kidding. He said, yeah, people are going to want to buy this, and took me a year to work up the courage to spend the money to buy all the components, and 10 years later and 1,500 kit sales later, he was right. So yeah.
And they're certainly bright, but before we get back to the lights, do you fly yourself?
I'm a keen passenger. Never got around to getting my license. Love all things aviation. Went to all the air shows I could. I tried to get my license when I just couldn't afford it a long time ago, and kind of gave it away there. When I learnt that Andrew was building a plane, I was all in. I was literally his build partner with no financial interest, but literally his build partner.
Yeah,
so
some days you need someone who helps encourage you to get out there and do it, and it's always better when you've got someone there to joke with, to help hold that piece for me, all that. You don't have to be a pilot to do that.
Yeah, robust discussions was the words that Andrew often used. So yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about maybe getting your license now that you're on company's established, things are going well?
I don't have the time.
Yeah.
I'm actually, it's a self-created problem where I'm pretty much flat out running this business. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's either you got no money or, well, I probably have the money, but I don't have the time anymore. Yeah. The question for you is, these are quite bright lights. So they're LED based. So I'm guessing, from what I've heard of LED aircraft lights, they outlast the good old incandescents, and they're brighter. But what's special about your ones?
What's unique about mine, certainly for the landing and position light part of my product, is I actually sell it in kit form. So I figure that there's a whole bunch of people that are, insert your word, of either crazy or talented or stupid or brilliant enough to be building an aeroplane. I'll teach them how to solder. So I sell them a circuit board and a bag of LEDs and a bag of resistors and some what I think are really nice instructions, and teach people how to solder. I think it's easier to do than getting 20 rivets squeezed nicely. Yeah. So it's just another skill that you learn in building a plane.
and that means they can put them into almost any aircraft. It's not like you have to have, here's the wingtip of an RV10, but you built your RV10 different, so you need the Serial 3, not the Serial 4.
So the circuit board, the RV range, most of the RV range has that corner light bay with a clear cover in the corner of the wingtips. So the RVs 6, 7, 8s, 10s and 9s do. And then I do sell, the earlier RV4s have a different wingtip, and they had a few different options for light bays, and we do sell a few different solutions for them as well. We do glass airs, lance airs, glass stars, a couple of, but they're literally 5% of my sales.
It's the big RV family, huh?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I've been selling those kits for about 10 years. The next product I then made a couple of years in was landing lights, and that was a game changer for my business. And it's a horrible pun, but it really did take off. I spent a year researching all the components to make my lights, so I found the best way to mount the brightest LED I could get, and how to drive it with a completely silent power supply. I found a heatsink maker for me that makes they're custom made for me in a process called cold forging, where they're all one piece.
Yep.
They're oversized heat sinks, so LEDs still make a huge amount of light, but they also generate a lot of heat. So our oversized heat sinks manage to keep all of that light, or all that heat away, and keep the light operating at full brightness. And then I found a collimating lens from a company in Finland, of all places. So rather than a reflector, which loses 20% of its light off to the sides, a collimating lens gathers every single photon of light from the LED and throws it out the front. So you're not wasting any of that electrical energy or any of that light. It's all going straight out front and center where it's needed.
So yeah, that energy efficiency is important, because waste energy goes out in heat, and as you said, light that isn't going where you want it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
The lenses I've chosen were originally designed to be for a surgical overhead light. Yeah, it was just the narrowest beam I could get. Having done night circuits with Andrew several times, I kind of figured that you wanted the numbers to be lit up on the runway as early as possible.
Okay.
So I just got a super tight beam, which throws all that light far forward.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'd heard the stories that flashing lights can help dissuade birds from being, reduce bird strikes. Have you seen evidence to back that up?
I've heard of evidence for sure. So I make two different wigwag products. Wigwag is the terminology that the aviation market uses. I make two different products to make those lights work. Yeah, having your lights on is great, but you can be very easily lost in the background with just your lights turned on. But having the apparent movement from one wingtip to the other is the eye-catching thing. I guess in much the same way as they don't just have a stop sign at a railroad crossing, they have the two flashing lights side by side, which is the real attention-getting thing.
That's a very good point. And I believe your lights are very, very, very visible from a long distance.
Yeah, a customer related back to me. He was flying his RV10, as it turns out, overhead Dallas-Fort Worth Airport in the States. He was en route to where, I'm not too sure, but he tells the story that the tower controller spotted him out the window and couldn't see him on the radar, and he actually had to zoom out his radar control to find him. And when he overflew, he took note of his registration number, and then a couple of days later, the tower controller, who was also an RV builder, found him on Van's Air Force and told him, you and your plane, I saw you 42 miles away on a bright sunny day.
Wow.
So he said, yeah, they were great. So funnily enough, the guy, the tower controller also bought two 7 stars lights and a wigwag module as well. So,
well, when the tower controller makes that comment, it's good.
Yep.
I believe you've got a few, at least one set of your lights flying in the Freedom Formation.
I've got half the team with my lights, and I'm going to work on the rest of the team here for this show tonight or today.
Cool.
I've got one more product I have two products that are innovative as well with our landing lights. We have our tail dragger max light, and we have a smaller combo light. If you have a tail dragger aircraft, rather than having one landing light aimed straight ahead for landing and then the other landing light aimed low for taxiing, our combo and tail dragger max lights have a light module that is tilted downwards, so you get a bucket load of light aimed correctly for landing on both wings, and then when the tail comes down, you can still see where you're going on down both sides of the runways and taxiways. So that product is unique in the market.
So you've got the downwards and the straightforwards at the same time? Or is it only once you go past a certain angle?
They can be both turned on at the same time, and then there's a separate power input that will turn on just the taxi lights as well. So you can taxi with your low beams on effectively.
Yeah, because once again, what we were talking about before about wasted energy. So, and looking at the unit that you've got here, there's those heat sinks are quite distinctive, the rods.
Yeah, they're called pin heat sinks. It means that the heat sink itself can operate in any orientation, whereas a heat sink with fins needs to have the fins vertical. So just, depending on how the customer chooses to mount the light, a pin heat sink has more surface area and works in any orientation. So
very cool. Any other products you specifically want to call out?
I think that's our most popular sellers. I think certainly our tail dragger products are unique on the market. We have a little wigwag module that there's the cheapest product we sell basically, but its claim to fame is that it can be fitted to any aircraft. The beauty of it is that you turn your existing panel switch on and the lights will come on as they always did.
Yeah.
If you give the panel switch a quick flick off and then back on again, it'll start the wigwag mode.
Okay.
So there's no changes to your panel required. The wigwag module is the size of a box of matches and half the weight, so it can be zip tied to the anywhere behind the panel. That little quick flick mode means that there's zero changes required to your panel. It can be fitted to anything. So,
wow.
And again, that enables lights to be flashing on any aircraft.
Well, Paul, that's some really good kit, and I can attest to their brightness. As I said, they've been blinding me from all the way across the taxiway where I've been, doing commentary. So good stuff. And just to round up, where can we find you?
At flyleds.com or flyleds.com. I'm based in Australia, but I ship most of my sales to go to the States. If there's something that you're not sure about, you can always give me a call. My phone number is on the website, or there's a contact us form. You can drop me an email.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. This has been a great chat, and congratulations on a wonderful product.
Thank you very much.
Flight Lieutenant Larissa Stevens, aka Laz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Now, I understand that you had a bit of a casual. I drove all the way up from Melbourne, but you got here a hell of a lot faster and a lot more comfort and a much better office. How'd you get here?
I came up here in the PC-21. Work kindly let me borrow it for the weekend. So it's about just over an hour flight up from RAAF base East Sale. Air-conditioned, comfortable, quick, easy flight.
And a view to kill for.
Yes, absolutely. It was really beautiful weather out there. A great flight.
Nice. Okay, so you're not doing a display or anything like that. You've come up here to do a presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to be presenting for later this afternoon to discuss my career, some aviation, general aviation, my time in the RAAF, and so just some of the experiences that I've had along the way.
Cool. Well, this is going to come out after you've done the presentation, so we're not stealing anyone's thunder. So let's have a chat. What got you into aviation? What got you into the RAAF?
Yeah, so I always loved aircraft. As a little kid, my dad used to take me along to air shows. There's photos of me as a little toddler on his shoulders looking at cool aircraft at various air shows. And I always thought aviation was such an awesome activity to do. When I turned 15 for my birthday, I got a trial introductory flight from my dad. So I went to Tyabb Airport, to the Peninsula Aero Club, and I went for a trial flight.
Oh, home girl.
Yeah.
So, yeah, love PAC and Peninsula Aero Club are a great group, and Tyabb's a wonderful airport. A little narrow for someone who's been trained at Moorabbin, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't know any different at that point, and I just basically became a hanger rat out there, and if there was a plane flying, I'd be there, and if someone wanted their plane washed or flown, I'd be there. I'd take it flying. And I was lucky enough to do my first solo and my PPL at Tyabb. And I always loved it, and I was like, I want to keep doing this as a career. So I started working as many odd jobs as I could to pay for it. As anyone that's trying to build their aviation hours and experience up knows, it's expensive. And I started flying as much as I could. Once I got my commercial pilot's license at Moorabbin, I then thought, well, what's next? And there's pretty much a couple of paths that you could take. I thought city instructing. I thought maybe go up north to Darwin and get a job there. And at that point, I'd kind of ruled the RAAF out a little bit. I always thought RAAF pilots were really smart. I thought they were astronauts. They were incredible, big brain, kind of like Neil Armstrong style of intelligence. And then I met one. And so then I applied to the Air Force. And I always thought they'd just say no. I'd always thought they'd say, oh, thank you for your interest, but you're not the right person for us. And they just haven't yet.
You got them fooled the whole way through. And it's not like this is your first thing going straight to PC21. You've had quite a career already.
I have. I've been very lucky. So I went through pilot's course quite a while ago now, on the CT4 and the PC9, and then the P3, and then the P8, and then now I'm on the PC21. So most of the aircraft I've flown in the RAAF have retired.
We don't talk about that because, like, I take people around my father's aircraft in a museum, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, planes that I've flown are in museums, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so now I'm instructing on the PC21, and so I get to hopefully inspire the next generation of military pilots.
Fantastic. So you've done your instructor's course, or you're doing your instructor's course now?
Yeah, so I completed the instructor's course several years ago, and I'm a B category instructor in the Air Force. Yeah.
And of course, the PC21 now, East Sale used to be where you instructed the instructors and all that stuff, but now it's the ab initio as well. So you've got people who've never flown an aircraft coming in to fly the PC21, yeah?
Yeah, so it's actually not. So it's our full through course in Sale now. So one flying training school are teaching from the very first flight to wings. So whereas previously you'd go to Tamworth, do training, and then go to Pierce, now you either go to Sale or Pierce, and you do the full through course, which is exciting. So I have been lucky enough to take someone for their very first flight and then do their second last flight on course, because the CO does the final flight. So that's a pretty cool experience, and taking someone up for their very first flight ever. I've never been in even an airliner, and their first flight is in a PC-21, and it's a rocket ship. So that's a really cool thing to be able to do.
It's kind of like the T-28 Trojan. I look out at that aircraft and go, wow, kids who've never flown anything go into learn to fly in an aircraft bigger than their house, you know?
Absolutely. The Trojan's such a cool aircraft. It sounds so amazing.
It's like a Harley.
Yeah, it's so cool. But the PC-21 is the first solo aircraft for our students, and they do their solo on their 11th flight. So the 10th flight is their solo check. And I mean, the aircraft cruises at 240 knots when you're sort of chilling around the ground, so like 1,000 feet type thing. So it's a lot of aircraft to handle for someone. So we've got to teach these students at a certain rate of learning, and when they can achieve that, it's so rewarding.
Yeah, and you're using VR, I believe, to help some of it out as well, more than just the cardboard cutouts. It's I was being told about VR rigs so students can get the sight picture before they even get in the aircraft.
So that's something that they are investigating. We haven't quite got that as a sort of capability just yet. What we are doing though is we've got simulators. Where previously on the PC9 and the CT4 we didn't have simulators. So they do get simulator flights. We can simulate emergencies, and we can sort of stop time and say, hey, let's look at this and let's do that one again. So you can sort of set them up on, say, a final approach and just have lots of goes at it, which is fantastic for their training.
In addition to putting them in the sim, I understand the sims of today are pretty amazing, and you're not just looking at the control inputs and how they're actually flying. You're actually looking at what they're doing, where their eyes are, effectively where they're looking, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So while they're in the simulator, we've got a camera looking at their face so that we can see where their eyes are going. So we can tell if they're looking in the correct spot or not. So then we can actually make sure that they are looking where we want them to look, because that's what we need at the right time, which is awesome. We can also see where they're putting their control inputs in and how much. So,
and then even in the air, you can go and change the what they're seeing in the front cockpit and all that. Turn things on and off just from controls in the back.
Absolutely. So we can degrade various systems so that they have certain levels of information shown to them. Sometimes with the PC-21, actually information overload can be the hardest thing. So sometimes if you take information away, it actually might make their life easier.
Nice. So Laz, you're training people. This is really great fun. You've had an incredible career on a number of aircraft so far, and yet you're still very young. What do you see your future? I mean, you're at the whims of DG personnel, we know that, but where do you think you'd like to go?
So my next posting is back to Maritime in RAAF Base Edinburgh, and I'm going to be instructing on the P8. So that's where I'm going next. As to what happens after that, as you said, I am at the whim of someone else. We'll see what happens. I just know that I love my current job, and I hope that I will enjoy flying the P8 as much when I go back to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're instructing, you're giving back, you're getting the next crew ready. So, and yeah, you don't know what the future holds. You could be posted somewhere, you could be told everything changes, but that's the price you pay for a career in uniform, but the benefits outweigh that, don't they?
Yeah, so at the moment I know that I'm posted back to RAAF Base Edinburgh, and I know that I'm going to be flying the P8 in some role, but I don't actually know what that role is just yet. So that's happening from sort of later this year, and that is something that you just have to get used to. And as being part of in the military, my situation is somewhat unique. It's not really the common. Normally, you know what job you are going into, but there's a couple of moving parts in there that will become apparent. So, yeah. Regardless, I'm going to get to fly, and that will be lots of fun.
Yeah, there's price to pay, but dang.
Yeah, it's great. So I know that I'm going to be going back to the P8, and I'll go flying, and someone while I'm flying will hand me a coffee, and I'll have a great time. So just relax.
It's like the old joke of the C-130, the F-16 pilot says, "Look at this," does a barrel roll and all that. The C-130 pilot says, "Look at this." Nothing happens. What happened? I went and used the bathroom and had a coffee.
Absolutely. So it's like that, but it's a P8, so it's pretty good.
And someone's handing you the coffee. Yeah. So, so you're up here at AusFly and you're doing a presentation. So what kind of topics and areas and any fun stories that you're going to present?
Yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about my career so far and things like adventures that I've had along the way. So just my journey through pilot's course, my journey through civil flying, and then some of the fun trips that I've had along the way.
Cool. Speaking of which, a little discussion I happened to overhear. I believe you've got current civilian flying happening?
Yeah, I've got for all my foolish mistakes, I do own my own airplane, along with my husband, and we love it. It's great fun. It's a Giles 202, which is
very
for those.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's honestly stupid. It's plus or minus 10G. It's you go up, you do some aerobatics, and then you land it. And honestly, the landing is the hardest part.
Yes, yes. Like a pit special, landing those suckers is really difficult.
It's awful. It's the hardest airplane I've ever had to land, and I've flown a lot of airplanes.
Do you get to take some of your co-workers up in the Giles?
I absolutely can. If they were interested, they would, and I do take them up flying. We generally fly 10 flights a week at work, so by Friday, most of the time they're just pretty done.
Yep.
But we do try to. We just manage everyone's fatigue and crew rest.
But sometimes on a weekend you just want to get that vitamin G and go out and watch the world tumble by because life's better inverted, right?
Absolutely. And it's a really different style of aerobatics to the PC-21. So when you're flying aerobatics in the PC-21, there's lots of fun. But it's also, you've got a G suit, you've got all these systems, and it's fairly rigorously set out. The Giles, so you can just do whatever you want in accordance with CASA's regulations, of course.
and the rules of physics and all that kind of stuff. Well, Laz, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed this chat and this time, and all the best for both your presentation, your flight home, and the transition back to the P8.
Thank you so much for your time.
Chris Tulk, Frank Deeth, welcome to the show.
Oh, welcome. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Well, it's great to be getting a chance to chat to you at AusFly. Something good from the heat, too hot to fly. So here we are in a room having a chat. Let's start with you, Chris. How did you get? What gave you the inspiration to fly? Was it you saw a recruiting ad, or the Air Force grabbed you, or were you learning to fly before you went to the Air Force?
No, so flying for me was one of those things like a lot of pilots. I think it was like when I was about 4 or 5 was when I thought I'm going to be a pilot. And I remember probably maybe about 6 or 7, I don't know where, but I saw what was the Roulettes and the Mackies overflying at some point, like at high level, and I went, oh yeah, I want to do that. And from then it was just a matter of I started gliding when I was 14, went solo when I was 15, and then joined the Air Force when I was 20, 21, and did 17 years in the Air Force, and then left that and joined Qantas. So aviation for me has just been one of those. Strangely, no one else in my family is into it. It was just, I just saw it, loved it, and have wanted to do it ever since I was 4 or 5 or something like that.
And so, did you do CT4, Mackie? I believe you did HS748, the dreaded Draggy.
Yeah, the Draggy. Yeah. I did. So my pilot's course was still on the CT4, so we did that in 91, a long time ago. CT4s, and then we were about the second or third course to do the PC9. So when I was over at Pearce, there were still Mackie courses going through, but we were on the PC9. We were I think probably the 4th or 5th last course. It didn't last much longer on CT4 before they shut one FTS down over to Pearce, and then from Pearce, when I graduated, I got to fly the 44,950 pound dog whistle, the HS748, which was actually, it was a great airplane to do your first conversion. I think most people would say that anyway, but for any airplane they fly. The 8 of us graduated, 1 went to fighters, everyone else except myself and another bloke, they went to Hercs, and myself and another guy went to 748s, which was, we put our hands up and went, yeah, we'll do that, because I was never going to get to fighters. And it was great. It was just a fantastic airplane to fly. Everything was manual, and just thinking about it recently, say with the airlines, when you have, say, an engine failure after takeoff, one of the first things you're trying to do is get the autopilot in. Yeah. In the 748, the first thing you did was disconnect the autopilot, right, now you can hand fly it. So everything was mandrolic on it. Yeah. It was a fantastic aeroplane to learn to fly on. Slow. A lot of people picked on us because it was noisy and not overly attractive, but I learned so much about flying on the 748. It was a great machine.
So you went straight from the single engine PC9 to the twin without any other twins in between?
Yeah, that was the way we did it then. So it was just a matter of, and the guys that went to Hercs went straight to Hercs as well, yeah. So, it was good to learn about twin engine operations in the 748. Not a great performer single engine, especially in some hot and high areas, but enough, it made the cron grade in, so it was supposed to, but it was, you worked for it. And I flew that for, I think, nearly 3 years or so, and then managed to get over to fly P3s, which was probably one of the loves of my life. I just love that aeroplane. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous machine.
My father was aircrew with the Kiwi P3s, and he loved being on those aircraft, and was at an air show in 1981 in New Zealand, and the P3 came in at VNE, did it, and then immediately down, did all this brilliant display, and as it's leaving, the guy doing commentary says, there goes the second fastest aircraft in the New Zealand Air Force, at which point people said, hang on, there's 2 jets. So, yeah. That's right, yeah. Oh, it's fast. Yeah. It's fast. I remember for a while there when I was flying it, we had a restriction because there was a crash at Cocos Island, so they restricted the airspeed to a maximum of 300 knots. But after a number of years, and I can't remember what else they'd done in the background, things out. Yep. They cleared us then to back up to VNE, which was 405 knots. So we all then had to go and do high-speed training. So we went out off to the west of Adelaide there in the bay, and flew around, got the handling there at those speeds, and then we're down 100 feet doing 403 knots, and this thing was just, like, you couldn't fly it into the water. It just, you could push, but the ground effect was so strong. Yeah. So, and it was a gorgeous day. I remember just flying this thing around in a figure 8, and as we come around, look around, you could see from the downflow of the efflux of the jets, the water ripples there. Yeah. It was stunning. And that machine, 405 knots on the deck, was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Oh, that would have been awesome. Yeah. It's sort of like that time when you're learning to fly and you do your first orbit and you hit the bump. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's what it was like. I can still remember seeing that. It wasn't roosters' tails or whatever. But just the ripple. It was a ripple. It was enough. As a fish head, that's enough. It was good. So, I love that airplane. I got my command on there as well, and then after that, I went over to SAAA and learnt to become an instructor, and spent, whatever the course is, I think it was 4 months or 5 months at SAAA, and then went to Pearce and flew instructing there for 2 years over in Pearce. So the advanced students that we had at Pearce, because we were still running, at that point, they were coming from BFTS in Tamworth. So we'd do that. And then I went from there to CFS and was instructing instructors at CFS, and did 3 stints, so 18 months in the Roulettes, and then was getting close to getting out of the Air Force at that point. Managed to go back to P3s for about 4 months or so. It literally finished my conversion, did 1 flight, and then
the airlines said, yes, we're coming. So they went to Qantas, and I flew 330s as a second officer for 10 years, and based in Sydney but lived in Melbourne, so did the commute. And then I got a window seat in the 737 out of Melbourne, and then just got command on the 737 about six months ago.
Congrats.
Yeah, so it's flying's like I've just loved it ever since, and I still go to work every day thinking, love this job. It's great.
And you're a reservist and flying with 100 Squadron.
Yeah, so I still fly with 100s, which is unbelievable, which I probably forgot. Yeah, so between one of the stints at CFS, I managed to get a job as the OPSO at 100 Squadron. I didn't even, at that stage it was the RAAF Museum. I didn't even know it existed, to be honest. So the boss had said to me, he said, I hear you're looking for trying to stay in location. I was trying to stay in Sale or Melbourne or something for family reasons. And he said, would you like to be the OPSO at the RAAF Museum at Point Cook? And I said, sure. I don't even know what that is, but I'll do it. And he said, yeah, no problem. So you can be the OPSO. So I went to Point Cook and I was the OPSO there for 12 months before they were short on people at CFS. So it was supposed to be a 2-year tour, but it ended up being 12 months. But the good thing about that was that I got a foot in the door with the museum, and even though I went from there back to CFS, back to P3s, and then Qantas, I managed to stay as a reservist for that whole time, and have been flying with them now so I think that was about 2006, so nearly 20 years I've been with the museum / now 100 Squadron.
Okay. So you've flown all the flyyables, like you've got the Sopwith.
We've got a Sopwith Pup. Yeah, so that's a Sopwith Pup replica. So I flew that. We've got a Sopwith. We've got an RE8, which is just a beautiful airplane that was made by the people at TVAL in New Zealand. And it's literally like they started the production line 100 years on from the last airplane. They don't do anything differently. So the only thing that they'll do differently to the original is if they can't find the same kind of component. So the same wood, for example, they'll use the next equivalency. They'll use new glues, but they don't make any changes. So if an airplane had a known fault or a known vice, they wouldn't make any changes. Their idea is that this airplane was built 100 years ago, and we're just starting up the production line now, and that's exactly what it is. So the RE8, in fact, the engine on that it's an RAAF4. A V12 engine, about 160 horsepower, so not particularly powerful, but there was no engines in the world except for one, which was at the War Memorial in Canberra. So the guys at TVAL got permission. They took that that engine back to New Zealand, stripped it down, catted it all up, and then rebuilt brand new engines. So they've built, I think, 4 or 5 of those engines now, exactly the same. So that airplane, stunning airplane, beautiful airplane to fly. So RE8, Sopwith Pup, Tiger Moth. Everybody's got to fly Tiger Moth. You've got to have a Tiger Moth in there. CT4, Wingill, Harvard, Mustang. So, I'm very, very fortunate to be able to have flown those airplanes. So I don't take any of them for granted,
I'm hearing the gnashing of the teeth out there right now. It's like the time when we interviewed Guy Burke. And we're going through his list. He said, and don't forget this, and that, and the Hudson.
That's right.
When I asked Guy Burke, you're flying all these different aircraft, what one aircraft do you wish you could fly? And he said it was a Lancaster. That was his dream, to fly a Lancaster.
Wow.
Do you have you've flown so many different aircraft. Do you have one you haven't flown that you dream of?
No, when we did our conversion onto the Mustang, because we didn't have a 2-seat Mustang, we did some back seat and then front seat flying in the P40, in Dougie Hamilton's P40, and that was one airplane that I always wanted to fly. As a kid, looking at the photos of World War II and seeing them in New Guinea, Milne Bay, and all that kind of stuff, those images were just stuck in my mind, and I've always loved that airplane. So to fly that airplane was fantastic. I would like to fly something like probably one of the aerobatic things, like an extra or something like that. I just want to do something that's got more power to weight, and I could get off and basically do a sideways down the runway. That I'd love to do that. I don't think I'd have the talent or the skill, but I'd love to be able to try it. So something like that would be awesome to fly, I think.
Okay, well there's a couple of extras and edges out here, so you've probably got some opportunities.
I'll just wait until it's quiet and no one knows that I'm getting one.
Go for the 2-seat first.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, thanks for that. So, Chris, we'll leave you there and come back to you in just a moment. And Frank Deeth, mate, you did not go the Air Force path, but here you are flying Mustangs and Wingills. So, what got you into aviation?
So, I grew up in an aviation-related family, and the father was airline pilot and did a lot of sailplane flying, and that's where we basically got into it, hanging around airports from a young age, and not knowing really what I wanted to do. I loved working with my hands. I thought I wanted to be an engineer and work on aircraft. And one day I did, one week I did work experience at Ansett, when Ansett was still around. And I thought, watching them all fly over, I thought, I think I'd rather do that than work on them. And that was the start of it also, and pushed towards that from about the age of 15 to get into the flying side of things. I loved, as I said, I loved working on them, and it was my intention to build home-built aircraft and that sort of stuff as well, which is particularly poignant being here at SAAA, because I built my own aeroplane as soon as I could.
What did you first build?
I built a Corby Starlet. As soon as I was able in the airline and settled and had a place to build it and all that sort of stuff.
So Corby Starlet, and you were probably 18 to 20, so about the right size to fit in one of those.
Yeah, struggle a bit now, but I did sit on the floor even, and so I had about a 1-inch cushion, and then just sat on the floor, and you needed to do some pretty good dip exercises to get yourself in and out of it to have the strength. If you pull the shoulder or anything like that, there's no way you could really get in and out there at my height. So, but it was a beautiful aeroplane to fly. I had it built for 7 years, and then flew it for 14 years and sold it just as we came out of COVID. Okay. I was running out of time to work on it.
So you did the private pilot. Did you do commercial, instructor, instrument?
Yeah, so a bit like Tulky, I went through gliding as well, went through the Air Force cadet side of things, because that was an interest as well. And as we sort of mentioned earlier, the Battle of Britain was probably what got me into the military side of flying, watching that show on a Sunday afternoon. And so that was always just a dream, a far dream that you might one day do something like that. When I was in high school, I went to the Australian War Memorial, and I saw a book on Spitfires by Jeremy Flack, and it had this very evocative picture in the back, which was a full-size wooden Spitfire being built, replica, and I'm now building one of those, which is essentially the same plans, but they've been modified to handle a much larger engine and horsepower and speed and all that sort of stuff.
Very nice.
Yeah. So the whole SAAA thing, I completely get.
Yeah, certainly. So yeah, the spirit of the home builder is alive and well in you. Yeah. And how did you go from the GA world into flying, getting into warbirds and all that?
Yeah, well, I was probably in the gliding side of things. The tow plane fascinated me just as much as the gliding. I love that Pawnee. To me, it looked like a Spitfire, and had that Spitfire tail. And so when I could, I thought that'd be a good way to just do a bit of flying on the side and build up some hours. So after I got my commercial license and I was trying to jag that first job, I went and did a bit of towing on the weekends, and that built up my tailwheel experience, which was one part of it. And then later, when I started building the Corby Starlet, I thought, I've always wanted to fly a Tiger Moth, and a friend of mine in Qantas had a Tiger Moth, and I rang him up and said, any chance I could just do some check out? I don't want to go and do too much just to check out. And we went and jumped in it and flew it for a while, and he said I do joy flights. Do you want to do some joy flights for me? So cool. Yeah, sure, why not? And so I just started doing some joy flights in it, and that's probably been my attitude with all of these vintage aircraft types. I don't care what it is. If someone's generous enough to offer me their airplane and say, do you want to come and fly it, then who am I to say no?
You'd probably have a whole lot of people going, are you okay? Yeah. Is there something wrong?
And so a lot of people have asked me, what's your favourite airplane? The current one I'm flying is my favourite airplane in that regard. But so yeah, that's probably how I got into the warbird side of things. Started out with the Tiger Moth, and when building the Spitfire project, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to be able to jump in the Spitfire the way they did in World War II, 120 odd hours in a Tiger Moth, 60 or 70 hours in a Harvard or something like that, and then jump into a Spitfire or whatever it might be. And so I sort of followed that path, and I ended up getting the opportunity, I should say, to fly a Harvard out of Essendon Airport and do some adventure flights with that.
Yep.
And that led into some DC-3 flying. Oh, wow. And there was, at that stage, I don't know if they're still around, the company is, but I don't know if they offer the training, but there was a company in the UK that would offer Spitfire endorsements. Oh, wow. So I saved up my pennies and I went over there and I did a Spitfire endorsement.
Yep.
Kept that going, had some contacts in New Zealand, and went and flew Doug Booker's Spitfire with Frank Parker. That's no longer around. It's in the UK, I think, now.
Okay.
And I think it's gone to Duxford, and did that for a little while. And then an opportunity came up to buy a share in MFT, which has now left the country.
Yes.
So I bought into a share in that, and I flew that for a little while as well. But it was generally in the lead up to and over COVID, so probably did about 10 or 12 hours in that. And that's kind of how it got me onto BOB as well, I guess. I spoke to Bob Eastgate probably back in 2014, or maybe earlier actually, maybe 2010, because I have the Allison engine for my Spitfire project, and I needed a little bit of things looking at there, and I'd offered something to Bob, and he said, I'll get Robbie to come and have a look at the Allison for you, and that's sort of how I met them, and really just kept a rubber in touch with them for the last 15 years or so. And I remember going out looking at the Mustang when it was all pulled to bits, and working on it. Yeah, it'll be done next month, sort of thing. 14 years later.
Yeah, it's been 95% done for about 80% of its life.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but it's a real testament to see what they've done. Just a beautiful, beautiful job. There's no expense spared. Every nut and bolt, every rivet, and it'll be finished when it's right. Is their attitude, and it's really paid off, I think.
It does have a beautiful presence on the ramp, and like watching Chris fly it today and do the high-speed passes. Yeah, just beautiful sound.
You never get tired of that sound, do you?
No.
Yeah.
So Chris has been running the joy flights in the Mustang, and we'll talk to you in a sec about that, Chris. But Frank, I believe you're going to display it. What kind of things are you doing in the display?
It's probably what the Air Force might call a typical flat display. So there's no vertical manoeuvres in our aeroplane. We don't aerobat it at all, apart from sort of wing overs is pretty much all we do. So it'll be a series of high-speed passes and canopy up and belly up passes and maybe an orbit in front of the crowd and that sort of stuff. Keep it fairly flat and
it's the sight,
and sedate, but it's the sight and the sound is the important bit. If you want to see vertical manoeuvres, do it in the pits.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something. You can look at an aircraft static and go, "Wow, that must have been amazing," but to actually see it fly, hear it, smell it, and get oil on it when you stand downwind, all this kind of from it.
Yeah. So and luckily enough, I'll get to do. Probably I'll do some of the joy flights tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So we'll sort of share that up, and I was lucky enough to bring the aeroplane up, and Chris will take it home on Sunday or whenever you decide to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
share the love.
Share the love indeed, and you're also swapping love with the Windgill.
Yeah, well, so I came up in James's Windgill just as a passenger. It was lovely, and then so Frank will go back with that. But this morning Frank and I did a sortie in the Windgill as well. So just one of our emergency checks out there, did some stalls, wing overs, PFLs, all that kind of stuff, and that was just great. So it's good to have the opportunity to fly two completely different types of aeroplane. But when someone says, as you're saying, Frank, when someone says, "Would you like to fly my airplane?" Say, "Yes, please."
Ow, twist my arm. Ow.
Right, exactly.
So on the subject of joy flights, so you did about 3 this morning. There's some more tomorrow. Has it all been pilots because we were here at AusFly, or?
So it has actually. The first 3 were all pilots, and the last 2 were a father and son. So the father went first, and then the son went afterwards, and then they got a photo beside the airplane of both of them standing there, which is really lovely.
And it was interesting because the father was a bit short, you're in the middle, and then the son was quite tall.
Yeah,
so.
That's right. Yeah. The father was a little bit short, and he said, "Oh, I wish I had a bit of a cushion." But so that was great. Everyone, as you would expect, has enjoyed them.
Yeah.
It's one of those things there. The Mustang is a pretty warm airplane. You've got that massive engine in front of you, and it's really nice to fly on a very, very cold day because it keeps you warm. On a hot day, it makes you even hotter. We do have good vents in the back, though, which is a saving grace for our passengers. So the vents are actually strong enough that they'll flap the harness around. So they get a really good airflow.
Yeah.
Us in the front, not so much. But
you're not exactly suffering, though. You're up there loving it.
Yeah, we're not suffering, no. So it was good. And what we do, again, because we don't do aerobatics in this airplane, we're trying to show our passengers what the aeroplane is capable of, and particularly in the air-to-ground roll. So we'll go out to the area, do a couple of steep turns and wing over, just to get them used to feeling the G. But the pilots that we had today were all used to G anyway. But it comes on pretty quickly in the Mustang, and then a few manoeuvres, a few wing overs, and then down for a couple of strafing passes, simulated strafing passes, which the aeroplane was used for a lot in World War II, before it really became found its feet, so to speak, as an aerial fighter. And so we're getting them out doing that. They're loving it. The speed sensation at 500 feet is fantastic, particularly if for pilots who are used to kind of speed, but not used to that kind of speed, so up around 250 knots is pretty fast at 500 feet. So, they all loved it. Came back with a smile on their face, as did I.
Yeah, everyone's got a smile around that aircraft.
Yeah.
But Chris, Frank, thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us the stories, the backgrounds, and what's special about being here, between taking pilots for a flight and being surrounded by fellow home builders. So, guys, thanks very much for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Andrew Temby, it's an air show, and we're once again hanging out. I've been on commentary. You've been doing aerobatics and 2 aircraft. Talk to us about them.
Well, first of all, Grant, we got up here. We left home at 4 o'clock in the morning and got to the airport, got ourselves ready in Melbourne and flew to Wentworth. And we had one aeroplane already here, a Victor Air Tour, a T6, which was an ex-military version, and Singapore Air Force colours, looks amazing. And I flew up in my extra 300L.
Yep.
And the weather, I got here to some pretty savage kind of heats, which obviously knocks the power and the grip out of our aeroplanes. So they don't go around the corners quite as well, and they don't really make the same sort of power. But it's been great to get through the 2 routines with both aeroplanes today successfully, and now get some water into the body for hydration.
Because you're about to take off in pretty much 40-degree heat and head for home. So, yeah, but despite the heat, that's why we brought the air show forward a couple of hours. So it started at 8:30, and mate, you did a great job bringing the neck of the extra and strutting the stuff in Captain Scarlet, because that's Tony and Angela's baby. And I was stirring Angela a bit. So I noticed, Angela, you're just focusing on your notes. You're not looking up. Shut up, Grant.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy the flights today. On the way up, I thought, just sitting in the heat in the aeroplane under the glass canopy, I thought, I'm not sure this is really what I should be doing today. But once I got here and got into the entertainment and excitement of it all, and looked into the sequences and thought deeply about how I'm going to put this all together given the conditions, those challenges are always make it worthwhile, and there's people here to watch it, which is what it's all about, really.
Yeah, and it was a crowd of both aviators and general public, so it was a good range of people.
Yeah, no, it's nice to see a turnout on such a hot day, and a wonderful turnout of really exceptional aeroplanes. And the air show, from what I saw of it in between flights and getting aeroplanes ready, was really, again, just first class. Australia does really great things with air shows now.
Yeah, no, AJ did a great job putting together the display list and corralling everyone, and it was good fun.
Yeah, and Tony, she's fantastic with SAAA. She puts in 20 out of 10 and makes this all go for us, and we get to come here each year and enjoy her hard work as well. So, and the SAAA team, really, and there's so many voluntary people involved in making this all come together, so that I can come and exhibit my aeroplane and you can come and talk about us, which is kind of really decent.
Yeah.
So it takes a whole lot of like-minded people and interested parties to put their hands up and make these things happen, and it still happens, which is awesome.
I concur. Well, Andrew Temby, you're number 2 in the fuel. Number 1's just topping up now. So I'll let you get back to topping off the tanks and have a safe flight home.
Thanks, Grant, and thanks for doing the commentary for me as well.
No worries. Ange was doing most of it. She was loving it. So it was all good, mate.
Nice. Thanks very much.
Well, I tell you what, all these rural air shows, these grassroots air shows, they're always a lot of fun, Grant. You obviously had a lot of fun up there.
I did, and it wasn't just thank God for the first beer of the evening after the show. I tell you what, it was very dehydrating.
How many beers was that, though? No, you probably lost count.
Oh my God, there was, 1 or 2. And let's just say that with the dehydration, even though I was drinking a lot of water, it took a few pints before I went, hang on, I need to go visit a certain amenity.
Well, anyway, there were some great interviews. I hope you enjoyed them, folks. And once again, we thank you for your patience while we got this episode out.
Yeah.
And now we can work on that Avalon content. Although by the time you hear this, I'll be on my holiday in the US. So that'll be a little bit later in the year.
Yeah, I think we might have to wait till you're back. Unless we can organise a time that Kathy's distracted by buying clothing or something, and you and I can jump on and quickly record rapid.
She gets distracted by that a lot, of course.
Yeah, I know, right? She's excellent at it.
It's a bit like me at an airport. Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
We'll just stay here for an hour or 6.
And on that note, time to move on.
No worries, folks. Catch you again really, really soon. Thanks for listening.
Find show notes for this episode along with our contact details and a full back catalogue of shows at planecrazydownunder.com. Drop us a line anytime with feedback, story suggestions or advertising inquiries. We'd love to hear from you. Title music is You Name It by Brian Simpson. Plane Crazy Down Under is a Southern Skies media production.
Southern Skies Media.